One of the many disturbing developments of recent years is the decline of the long established concept of the customer as king. Expressed another way, it used to be stated in years gone by that the customer was always right, even when he wasn't. That is, business owners were expected to treat their customers as royalty, since without them, their businesses wouldn't exist. Unfortunately, this cherished tradition has fallen by the wayside, especially during the Plandem era, as Americans were brainwashed into believing that business is king and customers exist solely to serve them. We're taught that businesses like Walmart, for instance, are doing us a favor by selling their made in China wares. Therefore, we should reverence these businesses that open their doors to us by allowing them to treat us any way they please. This reverse dynamic was partly instilled in our minds during the past couple of decades when the government consistently bailed out enterprises that were deemed too big to fail whenever they, in fact, failed. The message it sent is that taxpayer-funded bailouts are necessary to protect businesses that supposedly add value to the economy and enrich the lives of millions of ordinary Americans. But this shifting paradigm of putting business ahead of a customer accelerated during the Obama years when the Constitution's Commerce Clause was twisted into supporting forced health insurance. Once again, the idea was underlined that the demands of big business always come before the needs of the individual. After spending many years programming the population into believing that business, not the customer, is king, that idea was finally put to the test in 2020. It was during that dark passage in our nation's history that customers were all but forced into kowtowing before big business, being forcibly muzzled like cattle before entering their doors, and being told to say things like, "Thank you, Pfizer," for threatening to starve them into submission. Meanwhile, millions of small business owners were unceremoniously forced to close their doors forever during the Plandem, while workers were told that they were, quote, non-essential. This satanic treatment was to reinforce the notion that the individual exists to serve the corporate state instead of the other way around. But instead of slavishly complying with these dehumanizing demands, if enough people had stood up and demanded their rights as customers, the mandates and protocols of the year 2020 would have been quickly cast aside as businesses would have been forced to their knees by the demands of the people who pay their bills. So the next time the powers that be launch another scam and try to force you into bending the knee to business, just remember that you as the customer are still the king, and it's they who need you ultimately for survival, not the other way around.